So when I got started in 2004, really at that point in time, the only method that was available that anybody really ever did was driving for dollars and door knocking. So that's what I did. And then very quickly, the real estate game transitioned into the REO game. The banks had everything because the market in Detroit started to decline in 05, 06, then, the crash in 07. By the time 2008 came around, everything was a bank-owned property. Like all the opportunities was those. And at the time, they don't do it quite this way as much now. At the time, when the banks foreclosed on properties, they gave those to REO listing agents. So these were listing agents that had these specific contracts with the banks, and they would get all those listings. And so if you wanted to buy a bank property, you did it through an agent. And then that's when I developed and started doing the double dip strategy. I would go directly to the listing agent, let them dual represent the deal. I'd get my offer in there. I started to build relationships. They started to bring me deals. We couldn't lock it up off market because they had to list them. What would happen is we already had the deal in the bag. It would go active at 10 a.m. and it'd be pending at 10:01 because they already had my offer in and submitted and approved. It was more of a formality.
Sure.
So I very quickly transitioned from like driving around, knocking doors to becoming very, very dependent on the agent business model and doing thousands of REOs like that, working with thousands of agents. That became my like number one go-to strategy for many years was direct to agent. So I was one of the first ones to kind of introduce that idea that you can wholesale agent deals. Now, since then, there's been, a lot of people that are really good at it, and there's a lot of education around it. But I kind of was the first one to sort of pioneer that idea. Maybe I wasn't the first one to do it, but I was the first one certainly to teach about how to do that. And, I have a student, him really well, Hugh Boy. I broke down his 2025 business, like his numbers. Brent, get this. He did 1.7 million gross in 2025 at an 82% profit margin.
I know.
It's insane because he's got no cost. There's no cost to direct to agent. It's free. Commission person that does that. So he's not paying commissions to a sales guy, and he doesn't have a marketing budget. So he's not spending $5,000 to $10,000 per contract. He's got zero per contract, giving him a massive profit margin in his business. I never thought it could be a multi-million-dollar model. For years, it was sort of like you could get some deals that way and maybe you could scale a little bit, but you couldn't really build like a full business around that model in a single market. And that's since been proven wrong. Like there are, you and I both know several operators that just direct to agent do, million plus a year in revenue. When we talk about the agent model, there are two ways to do the agent model. You can try, I call it sniper listed properties. So, you're going to double dip. You're going to try to get in there quickly. You're going to try to get your offer accepted by the seller. That's one model. The other model is you just network with agents and then those agents bring you leads off market. So then you lock up the deal off market. You make sure the agent gets paid something in the deal. The off market agent deals, and that's what Hugh does. Hugh really specializes in that. Hugh averages $25,000 per deal, but he's not buying anything listed. He told me he didn't think he did maybe one or two listed deals all of last year.
Sure.
Oh, he's able to carve out those bigger assignment fees. But if you're sniper, which I do a lot of that, I do a lot of listed properties. You're lucky if you're going to get a 10K assignment out of that. And the reason why is because once it goes public and everybody sees it, the agent is going to protect as much of the equity as possible in that deal. You're not going to steal that thing for a massive discount. You're just not. You might get it low enough to where you can turn around and reassign it to somebody for 10. But most of the people I see that really do well with agents on listed properties, honestly, Brent, they're doing 3 to 5K on a deal.
Yep.
3 to 5K. And they try to do volume, and it's easy for them because they just call everything listed and they try to carve out a tiny little thing on it that doesn't cost them anything. They got buyers kind of lined up and stuff. I don't like that model. Like that's way too much work for so little money, in my opinion.
What intimidates me about working with agents is proof of funds and earnest money deposits needed up front.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jerry?
Yeah. I mean, if you're dealing with agents, guys, you cannot create a relationship with an agent where they're going to take you seriously. They're going to want to work with you if you can't speak their language and do what's important to them. And it's always important to them that you have proof of funds and that you put down significant earnest money. If you're not willing to do that, stay away from the agent model, because the minute you can't provide a proof of funds or you want to come in with this tiny little earnest money, they're going to push you aside and they're not going to work with you. So you just got to know that that's part of it. That's the trade-off. You can't get away with a $10 or $100 earnest money and no proof of funds. Direct to seller, they don't ask those things. They hardly ever even come up in the conversation. Direct to agent, you better darn well bet that's going to happen. I don't think, Brent, of all the agent deals I've done, I don't think there was one time where they didn't ask for proof of funds when I said I was a cash offer or wanted something, decent with earnest money. Now, if I'm buying low dollar properties, plan on $500. $1,000 is common. And if you're buying something that's up there, in the several $100,000 price range, you're going to need even more.
Agents are trained to ask for 1% earnest deposit to do their job.
Now, the proof of funds to me is easy. Like in my software Flipster, we provide unlimited proof of funds. They're custom. They got your name on there, the dollar amount, everything. About 90% of agents will let that fly. Like they'll accept that. About 10% of agents won't take that, and they're going to want a hard proof of funds, like a bank statement or an approval letter from a lender or something. So, you just got to know what you're up against and how to navigate that. Another hack strategy here for Leslie, sometimes you can put in your offer that the earnest money is due at the end of your inspection. And then let's say you have a 10-day inspection. And then the idea there is you find your buyer, you get your buyer to put the earnest money in, you use their earnest money to cover your earnest money. But again, when you say to an agent, hey, I don't want to put any earnest money up front, I want to do it later or at the end of inspection, you're sending a message to that agent that you're not certain about your offer and that you don't really have an ability to provide earnest money. You're going to create enough doubt with an agent where they're not probably going to want to work with you. And I wouldn't either. If I was on the agent side and someone came to me and said, hey, I don't want to put any earnest money up, I would be like, I can't take you seriously. Get out of here.
Yeah, you have no money. Yeah, especially if there's competing offers.
When I'm a seller, Brent, and I list stuff, because I buy a lot of stuff and just relist it. So I'm always the seller now with agents. And an agent will say, hey, I got an offer in, and I'll instantly look at that offer. I'll know immediately if it's garbage. Because if they want a super long inspection time, they don't give me proof of funds, and they got a small little earnest money or no earnest money or whatever, I'm like, I don't take it seriously. I go back and I say, throw that in the garbage. I'm not even going to counter that. That's a crap offer.
Yep.
So agents know that. If you're trying to play the game the way you play it.
Going direct to agent, how many calls are you making a day, or what should be the goal if you're doing this full time?
Okay, so I have what I call, Brent, the 5-5-5 method. Okay, so what this is it's 5 sniper calls a day. That's listed properties. You call on 5 listed properties, ideally distressed properties, and you make an offer directly to the listing agent, 5 of those. Then the second 5 is what I call the machine gun. And that is where you're going to cold outreach agents in your market. Now, 5 of those. So it doesn't matter who they are. Just find an agent in your market, call them up, and you're going to say to them, hey, when you sit down on a listing appointment, if you come across a distressed seller, let me present a cash offer before you list it. I'll pay you commission, blah, blah, blah. So that's 5 of those. And then 5, what I call reloads, where you're just going to follow up with agents you spoke to last week or last month or whatever. So 5 snipers, 5 machine gun, 5 reloads. That's 15 conversations a day with agents. I mean, think about that. If you're actually doing that every single day, 15 conversations with agents, you're going to be getting a deal because you're just doing enough. You're talking to enough agents to where one of them is going to say, well, hey, I just sat down with a seller yesterday. Take a look at this one. Now, if you can double that, even better. Doing that, by the way, 5-5-5, that's like 2 or 3 hours a day is all that takes. It's not even that much time. But you know what? You're not going to do it fabulously fat. You're not going to do it. I'll tell you why you're not going to do it. Because that means you got to pick up the phone and you got to have uncomfortable conversations. You don't know what you're going to say exactly. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to look a little ugly. You're going to fumble through it. And so you won't do it. But if you did do it and you had 15 quality conversations a day with agents, in 30 days or 60 days, you will get a deal.
If you're not doing enough deals, there's only one bottleneck. You're not talking to enough people and you're not making enough offers. I guess that's 2 things. That's it.
Yeah.
If you're not hitting your financial goals, it's because you're not having enough quality conversations and you're not making enough offers.
You have no control over whether or not an agent or a seller is going to say yes to an offer. You don't have any control over that. What you do have control over, though, is how many times you give that person the option to say yes or no. You do have control over that, meaning you can control how many conversations you have a day. You have 100% control over that.
Hey, Jerry, do you still teach and recommend reaching out to Zillow for sale by owners listed for at least 100 days?
I mean, that's just one thing to do. If that's all you're doing, I don't think there's enough of those to like build a business around that. So like I look at things like that, one thing to do. But like Brent said earlier, if you're not having a lot of high quality conversations every single day, then you're not doing 5 deals a month, which means you're not building a real business, which means you're not making very much money. So like you got to ask yourself, how do I have really high quality conversations with distressed, motivated sellers? What do I got to do that every single day for hours on end? You figure that out and you have a real business.
What is your thoughts on agent referral program? Having them bring you off-market deals to fix and flip, and in return, you have them list the house for you after you finish the project.
Yeah, I don't make that commitment. I feel like double ending the front end is enough. You know, they're getting both sides on the front end. I do not want to make that commitment because when I do a flip, I've got a lot on the line. I've invested a lot of capital, a lot of time. I do not want a crap agent relisting my property. I want the best agent I can possibly get in the market. It doesn't mean I'm going to pay full price for them, but in my market, I have a strategic relationship with my listing agent. They understand how I sell, the way I want to position it, the way I want to market it. I'm not giving some brand new part-time stay-at-home mom my back end on my flip just because I might get the deal on the front end if I overcommit to the agent. I already double commit on the front end. So they're getting the list, the buy side, and the back end just for bringing me the deal. It's too much. And it puts you at risk on the back end. And you shoot yourself in the foot because if you want to wholesale it and you committed to the back end, now you got to tell your buyer, hey, oh, by the way, you inherited a listing agent with this deal. And so that's not going to fly either because flippers are going to want to use their own agents on the back end. So why limit yourself? Like wholesaling every deal needs to always be an option for you.
Yep.
Even if you're a flipper.
You consider it easier to go directly to agent because he always wants the transaction to be completed to generate cash flow?
No, it doesn't have anything to do with that. I mean, you would think that an agent would go to bat for you and want to get the deal done. And I'll tell you a story that just happened to me, Brent. I'm so frustrated about this. So this is an agent property. It comes out for 175. I double dip with the agent. Agent's super motivated. They got my contract into the seller. They're like, let's put this in writing. I offered 155 and I wanted the land at 160. So they countered back at 165. I countered back at 160. And I'm thinking, I got this. They came down from 175 to 165. I'm going to get another 5 out of it. I'm going to lock this up at 160, which is my exact price I wanted to be at. This is amazing. Agent says, okay, great. Does the counter. Then they don't communicate with me. They don't talk to me about what's going on. I get a text this morning from the agent and the agent says, hey, seller wants highest and best. And I go, what the heck's going on? What do you mean? They said, oh no, we got a whole bunch of offers in last night. And this thing's way over list price. And I said, are you kidding me? I would have taken the 165 probably. Like, you communicate with me about what's going on. Coach me along here, please, agent. We could have had this locked up and done. And the agent's like, oh, well, I'm sorry. I'm like, now you're splitting a commission with a buyer's agent and you just punked me. And that's my fault. I should have said, if action starts to happen, talk to me about it. Let's get this thing done before offers come in. And I probably would have got the deal.